St. Croix, an unincorporated territory of the United States. St. Croix is the largest of the islands in the territory, being 22 by 7 miles. However, the territory's capital, Charlotte Amalia, is located on St. Thomas. History. The island was inhabited by various indigenous groups during prehistory. Christopher Columbus landed forces on the island on November 14, 1493, and was attacked by the Kalinago, who lived at Salt River on the north shore. Control of the island was traded among various powers, including Spain, the Netherlands, the Knights of Malta, and Great Britain before it became a possession of France from 1650 until 1733. On June 13, 1733, France sold the island group to Denmark, Norway and the Danish West India Company. For nearly 200 years, St. Croix, St. Thomas and St. John were known as the Danish West Indies. Around the mid to late 18th century, at the peak of the plantation economy, the enslaved population of St. Croix numbered between 18,000 and 20,000, the white population ranging between 1,500 and 2,000. The first British invasion and occupation of the Danish West Indies occurred at the end of March 1801 when a British fleet arrived at St. Thomas. The Danes accepted the Articles of Capitulation the British proposed and the British occupied the islands without a shot being fired. The British occupation lasted until April 1802, when the British returned the islands to Denmark, Norway. The second British invasion of the Danish West Indies took place in December 1807 when a British fleet captured St. Thomas on the 22nd of December and St. Croix on the 25th of December. Denmark-Norway did not resist and the invasion was bloodless. This British occupation of the Danish West Indies lasted until the 20th of November 1815, when Britain returned the islands to Denmark. These invasions were due to Denmark's alliance with France during the Napoleonic Wars. On the conclusion of a peace with France, the islands would be returned to Denmark. In 1916, Denmark sold St. Croix, St. Thomas, and St. John to the United States, formalizing the transfer in the Treaty of the Danish West Indies, in exchange for a sum of $25 million in gold. In a national referendum on the issue, 64.2% of Danish voters approved the sale. An unofficial referendum held in the islands resulted in 99.83% vote in favor of the purchase. Formal transfer of the islands to the U.S. took place on April 1, 1917. The island's inhabitants were granted United States citizenship in 1927. Industrialization of the island and its move away from an agrarian society took place in the 1960s. The 2012 shutdown of the Hovensø refinery resulted in the loss of many jobs. Agriculture has seen a slow resurgence, due to an increase in demand for local produce and agricultural products. Geography. St. Croix lies at 17 degrees 45 and 64 degrees 45 W, 17.750 degrees north, 64.750 degrees west, 17.750 minus 64.750. The easternmost point in the United States of America is St. Croix Point Udall. The island has an area of 214.66 square kilometers. The terrain is rugged, though not extremely so. The highest point on the island, Mount Eagle, is 1,165 feet high. Most of the east end is quite hilly and steep, as is the north side from Kristianstad west. From the north side hills, a fairly even plain slopes down to the south coast. This was cultivated as the prime sugar land on the island. Climate. The trade wind blows more or less along the length of the island. The hills of the western part of the island receive a good deal more rain than the east end. Annual rainfall is on the whole extremely variable, averaging perhaps 40 inches a year. The east end of the island is a dry desert range with a substantial amount of cactus, while the west end has lush vegetation and palm trees. The island has multiple ecosystems in a small geographic area. Fairly severe and extended drought has always been a problem, particularly considering the lack of fresh groundwater and lack of freshwater streams or rivers on the island. The island has a desalination plant, but most residential homes and businesses have built-in cisterns used to collect rainwater. Demographics. Inhabitants are called Crucians, Croix. There is much debate as to what constitutes a native Crucian. The consensus in Crucian society is that if one is Barnyar on St. Croix, they can claim to be Crucian. Because of heavy migration from other islands in the Lesser Antilles and Puerto Rico throughout the 20th century, most native-born Crucians are descended from enslaved Africans whose descendants moved from other Caribbean islands. Those considered the ancestral natives of St. Croix are descendants of African slaves brought to the island by the Danish during the 18th and 19th centuries, and laborers recruited by the Danish after emancipation in 1848. Puerto Rican migration was prevalent in the 1930s, 40s and 50s, when many Puerto Ricans relocated to St. Croix for work after the collapse of the sugar industry. In addition, the U.S. Navy purchase of two-thirds of the nearby Puerto Rican island of VX during World War II resulted in the displacement of thousands of Puerto Ricans, many of whom relocated to St. Croix because of its similar size and geography. The local holiday, Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands Friendship Day, has been celebrated since the 1960s on October 10. Puerto Ricans in St. Croix, most of whom have lived here for more than a generation, have kept their culture alive while integrating into the mainstream Crucian culture as well. For example, in informal situations, many Puerto Ricans in St. Croix speak a unique Spanglish-like combination of Puerto Rican Spanish and the local Crucian Creole dialect. Migration from Down Island occurred mainly throughout the 1960s and 70s. In that period, agriculture declined as the major industry on St. Croix, to be replaced by tourism, alumina production, and oil refining. Jobs were plentiful in these industries and Down Islanders came to St. Croix by the thousands. Many Down Islanders made St. Croix their permanent home, while others eventually returned to their native islands. Most Down Islanders came from St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua, St. Lucia and Dominica, although people from every Anglophone Caribbean island can be found on St. Croix. Continental Americans, although small in number in comparison to Caribbean immigrants, have also been part of the St. Croix community. Most reside on the east end of St. Croix. Arab Palestinians have been an influential part of the local economy since the 1960s, when they first started to migrate to St. Croix to set up shops, supermarkets and gas stations. In the 21st century, recent waves of migration to St. Croix have included people from the Dominican Republic, Haiti, Jamaica, the Philippines, and various South American nations. St. Croix's history of migration has sometimes caused tensions between immigrants and Crucians whose ancestry on the island dates back for generations. Tensions have subsided to some extent in recent years, mainly due to intermarriage among Crucians and other Caribbean peoples. In the late 1990s, many people supported legislation to define as a native U.S. Virgin Islander anyone who could trace their ancestry on the island to 1927, the year in which U.S. Virgin Islanders were granted United States citizenship. This effort by a select group of nationalist senators eventually failed after much public outcry and controversy. It was learned that most native-born U.S. Virgin Islanders would not qualify as native under the proposed legislation, as their immigrant ancestors had arrived later than 1927. But thousands of Danish citizens would have qualified. In 2009, the proposed U.S. Virgin Islands Constitution voted by the Fifth Constitutional Convention established three definitions of U.S. Virgin Islanders. Ancestral Native Virgin Islander, those with ancestral ties; Native Virgin Islander, those born on the island; and Virgin Islander, any United States citizen who has resided in the territory for 5 years. The proposed constitution was rejected by the United States Congress in 2010 for violating the principle of equal rights for all citizens of the territory, native or not, and was sent back to the convention for further consideration. The total population of the island as per the 2010 U.S. Census is 50,601. St. Croix is divided into the following subdistricts: Anna's Hope Village, Christiansted, East End, Frederiksted, North Central, Northwest, Cyan Farm, South Central, Southwest. Language: English is the most common language. Danish was once the official language of the island during its days as a Danish colony, but was never widely spoken. Spanish is spoken by Puerto Rican and Dominican immigrants and their street, Croix-born offspring, and various French Creoles are spoken by the large Street, Lucian and Dominican communities, as well as the smaller Haitian one. A native English-based Creole known on the island as Croix is also spoken by the majority of the population in informal situations. Arabic is common among the large Palestinian community on St. Croix. Religion: Christianity is the predominant religion. The island has been called the Land of Churches for the approximately 150 churches that serve its 50,000 residents. Protestant denominations are the most prevalent, but there is also a significant Roman Catholic presence due to St. Croix's large Hispanic population, as well as Irish influence during the Danish colonial period. Anglican, Methodist, Moravian, Presbyterian, Pentecostal and Seventh-day Adventists are among the Protestant denominations prevalent on the island. There are also followers of the Jehovah's Witness tradition, as well as the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. As in most of the Caribbean, various forms of Rastafari are practiced on the island. Islam is prevalent among the small local Arab population, and there is a small Jewish presence as well. Economy: St. Croix was once an agricultural powerhouse in the Caribbean, but this period ended with the rapid industrialization of the island's economy in the 1960s. Like many other Caribbean islands today, St. Croix has tourism as one of its main sources of revenue. A number of other industries on the island contribute to the economy. St. Croix was home to HOVENSA, one of the world's largest oil refineries. HOVENSA is a limited liability company owned and operated by Hess Oil Virgin Islands Corp., a division of U.S.-based Hess Corporation, and Petróleos de Venezuela, SA, the national oil company of Venezuela. Gas prices on the island were slightly higher than average when compared to gas prices in the continental United States. On January 18, 2012, the company announced that the HOVENSA refinery would be permanently shut down. This was expected to have a major adverse effect on the economy of St. Croix and the entire U.S. Virgin Islands, as the refinery employed 1,200 residents and 950 contractors. St. Croix is also home to the Croix Rum Distillery, makers of Croix Rum, a brand of Beam Global. The Croix Rum Distillery was founded in 1760 as a state diamond, and for many years used locally grown sugar cane to produce a single, dark-style rum. The distillery now imports sugar cane molasses from other countries in the region, primarily from the Dominican Republic and South America. In recent years, Croix Rum, along with Bacardi from Puerto Rico and Goslings from Bermuda, has contributed to the resurgence of single-barrel, super-premium rum. The quality and smoothness of the Croix Estate rums has won more than 30 Spirit Awards. Croix Estate Diamond Rum and Croix Single Barrel Estate Rum are just a couple of examples. Diageo has completed construction of a new distillery on a 26-acre industrial site next to the Hovensa refinery. The new distillery produces Captain Morgan rum. Diageo's entrance into the U.S. Virgin Islands rum industry has been controversial. The cash-strapped U.S. Virgin Islands government secured $250 million in bonds for the plant, about which the Puerto Rican government has bitterly complained. Transportation. Cars drive on the left-hand side of the road, but nearly all the automobiles on the island have left-side steering columns. This has proven difficult for new residents and visitors from right-hand traffic locales such as the mainland United States and Puerto Rico. There is a public bus service called Virgin Islands Transit, also known as VITRAN, operated by the Virgin Islands Department of Public Works. In addition to taxis and buses, St. Croix has shared taxis, locally known as taxi buses. Taxi buses are full-sized vans running a route from Frederiksted to Kristianstad. Taxi buses are privately owned and operated. They do not follow a regular schedule, and there are no pre-specified stops. People simply wait by the side of the road until her taxi bus approaches, then flag the driver down by waving. Passengers can get out anywhere along the taxi route. Taxis are not metered and are required by law to charge a flat rate of $2.50, regardless of where a rider gets on and off. Taxis to specific locations are much more expensive and are typically used by tourists. The Henry E. Rolson International Airport serves St. Croix with regular flights from the U.S. mainland, Puerto Rico, and the Eastern Caribbean. Seaplanes, operated by Seabourn Airlines, also serve the island, taking off and landing in Kristianstad Harbor. Ferry service to St. Thomas operates from Gallows Bay, although it has been suspended indefinitely since July 2011. Although St. Croix is a U.S. territory, the U.S. Virgin Islands are maintained as a free port in a separate customs zone. Therefore, travelers to and from the continental United States and Puerto Rico must clear U.S. customs but do not need to present a passport, and only need proof of U.S. citizenship or nationality. The immigration status of non-U.S. citizens may be verified during this process. Education. The St. Croix School District operates public schools in St. Croix. There also exist multiple private schools, including, but not limited to, St. Croix Montessori, Star Apple Montessori School, the Good Hope Country Day School, AZ Academy, St. Mary's Catholic School, Free Will Baptist, and the Manor School. The only colleges on the island are the University of the Virgin Islands, St. Croix Campus, and Barry University, which operates a physician assistant training program. Culture. Festivals. The island's largest festival, termed Crucian Christmas Carnival, is celebrated on St. Croix throughout late December and early January. Another significant festival is the Agricultural and Food Fair held in mid-February. Several times a year, there is a nighttime festival in Kristianstad called Jump Up, and a monthly event called Sunset Jazz in Frederiksted, where local jazz musicians play on Frederiksted Beach. Every year on the Saturday before Mardi Gras, there is a local Mardi Croix parade and a dog parade through the North Shore. The St. Croix Half Ironman Triathlon is held in the first week of May. The triathlon includes a 1.2-mile swim, a 56-mile bike ride, and a 13.1-mile run. Because the bicycle route includes a ride up an extremely steep hill known as the Beast, this triathlon is often nicknamed Beauty and the Beast. A costumed carnival dancer. Parade of costumed carnival dancers. A costumed carnival dancer. A costumed carnival dancer. A Moko Jumbi.